Hey, what's going on? XD here from Bedroom Studio Corner. Welcome to a new video. Today I'm gonna be reviewing one of the tracks I released yesterday called Vibranium. I don't know if you've heard the track yet, but you can check it out in the link down in the description, so you can actually play it if you haven't listened to it yet. So I thought, let me review this track with you guys and show you how I made it and how I put together certain elements into the track. I've always been showing you like tracks I haven't really finished that are kind of like ideas, but now I'm going to share with you this track because I had shared it already yesterday. So now you can see what I'm working with and how I arrange my projects and what I do. So let's get into FL Studio and let me show you how I made the song. So firstly, with this track, I started off here. This is the arrangement that you see over here. So let me just zoom out to show you the full track. Okay, there we go. And I have a little automation here, a few bars of automation, you know. This is my drum pattern over here. Let me just solo this and play it as it is. So what I just have the basic FL Studio bass drum here, like this BD here, this VT BD. Just a basic kick, and I have also this tom and just this basic clap. There we go. And I have these hats over here, like two of them kind of in a layer, and you can see what I did with the pan here. I kind of put the other one to the left and the other one to the right over here. And then if we go down here, we have a shaker kind of playing with the kick, and another shaker there kind of giving a kind of riding with the low tom over here, just so they don't sound empty or sound like they don't have kind of a depth. It's just to give them dynamic. So that's what my drums are sounding like. So in the arrangement over here, I start with my drums, but then I have the sound that's coming in slowly over here. I think it's this one. That was GMS. Let me just show you the pattern over here. There we go. There's the pattern. So it's the one that's being controlled by this automation over here. So it's coming in slowly. And with these strings, I just throw them on over here on the 16th bar. I didn't want to automate them, like make them rise, because I already made the kind of the fade in of that little pluck that the GMS is playing. So I didn't feel like the strings, you know, would come, you know, in. I just wanted them to just drop and then the track starts like right there. So then I put in the bass over here at around 1 minute 20 seconds. Let me show you what the bass is doing. That's just a E flute bass. That's a popular bass in deep house. It's basically a sine bass. It's basically a sine bass, you know, that's what it is. So if you just lower it, if you raise it, it sounds like a flute, but if you lower it, it sounds like bass. So let me play that for you on its own. So if you're listening to this in a small speaker or a laptop or just on your phone, you're not gonna be able to hear this bass because it's kind of more like a sub bass, like really low end bass. I really like sub basses. I feel like they are the most powerful, especially when you play them like on big systems. They really sound really good. Then after that, some people were asking me what was that vocal and where did you get it. So some people don't pay attention to the title because I like to make a song that has a point. Actually, this is Killmonger this is Killmonger from Black Panther. There was a scene I cut out, like a scene I cut out from the movie where he gets into when he walks into that gallery, the art gallery where they had all the African stuff in there, and he was asking for, you know, looking around, and then, you know, that whole altercation, and then they robbed the place. So I just took a piece of that and then I just I recorded it with VLC, and then I turned it into audio, and I recorded it with VLC and I converted it to audio, and then I imported here. So that's why I see it says VLC record over here. And then I just kind of strategically placed it into the track to kind of make sense. So let me just play this part here. She says 16th century here.
Now, tell me about this one. Also from Benin, 7th century.
Okay, let me just mute that. Let's play that on its own.
Also from Benin, tell me about this one.
So I added some delay and reverb to this piece of audio. So if I can show you here, and let me just bring the mixer in so you can see what I did to it. It's track 8 over here. I put a love filter on it just to kind of filter it a bit. Let me just isolate it a bit here quickly. There we go.
Now, tell me about this one.
So I filtered it with this fruity love filter. Let me switch this off and I can walk you through all the effects.
Now, tell me about this one.
So that's how it sounds, just clean without anything on it. So if I add the filter,
now, tell me about this one.
It makes it sound very distant, like it's not close, like it's far away, like it's very deep into the track. And then I just added a limiter just to give it a little bit more kind of depth into it. Let me, okay, there we go. And then I added a limiter to kind of give it a bit more gain, kind of more volume, because it was very low after I had
Tell me about this one.
put that that filter on
Also from Benin, 7th
to give it a bit more
century.
gain. Then I added another EQ just to cut out the low end, just to make sure that the low end doesn't come in, because you know how sometimes movies really have these really powerful subs that are just in the background music. So I was just making sure that that doesn't come in any point in the sound. So just to do that, then I added a delay 3 and I slightly turned it down so that it's not so much.
Now, tell me about this one.
So that's that delay you can hear that's trailing after the audio.
Fula tribe, I believe. I beg your pardon. He was taken by British.
Okay, so now we can move on to the string. I've got like a layer of nexus in here of these strings. Let me just mute the first. That's the first layer. That's just a normal string. That is the soft orchestra in the classical section. I like those strings. And then the second one is kind of a pad I found in Fantasy and Dream called Caribbean Dream. How do you say that? Caribbean Dream, I guess. Okay, so that's the second layer. So both of them together, they sound like this. So that's my pad layer. That's why it sounds so nice and so, you know, it just sounds surreal. And then if we move on to my keys, I used Gravity over here, and I used, in the piano section, I used the soft EP mod. That's the one that's playing that nice woo. So it's just that. So that's what I have over here. Now let me play back the song.
Also from Benin, 7th century. Fula tribe, I believe.
And also this sound is a GMS sound. That's the crunchy TE. Let me just solo that. I actually sent that to a delay that I have on track 100 over here, because I usually use these 4 tracks as my synth tracks. So I have a delay 3 over here that I've set up over here with kind of some low end cutout. So that's why it has that delay. If I switch it off, it sounds like that. So you can actually see how just a delay can actually change the sound and make it more interesting, instead of kind of tweaking the sound so much and changing the whole sound. But it's just adding a delay or adding a reverb to the sound will make it much more interesting, or even just basically EQing the sound. just gives it kind of a runny feel. So as you can tell in the track, it's actually following the bass.
Also from Reading, 7th century.
Kind of giving the bass a little bit of character. Then if you move over here, this is a steel drum in purity. In GM normal steel drum. And you can hear it has some delay as well. Send to my my delay send here. And then I introduced this the symbol over here around here. But I didn't make it so loud so it kind of really hits you really hard. I just wanted it right there in the back so that it kind of just plays right there, but you don't really notice that it's there. It's some things you actually notice maybe the second time around you listen to the track, and then you're like, oh, there was actually this little symbol hitting from this other side. And that was just a little break here, like kind of a little roll. Yeah, so I just played around with the kick and the clap and the cymbal as well, and the crash cymbal. So my arrangement, the way I approached it is kind of, I didn't want to have this track have a break. I wanted to make it more of a progressive kind of club track where it just builds up, you know, gets to the climax, and then dies down. It's kind of a club track. It's not a track where it's kind of trying to be surreal and trying to be more atmospheric. That's why my sounds are minimal, but they're very, very powerful on the low end side, and they're very punchy. So you can see I started with the drums, and stuff started picking up all the way to like 3 minutes over here, and then everything starts playing here, and then it kind of just dies down when it gets to like 5 minutes, and then you can start mixing the track out. So I didn't give it like, that 16 or 24 bar break that we usually do, kind of a dip where you cut out all the drums and you just give this nice feel, and then have it build back up again and go out. So that's how I kind of arranged this track to make it work. So in terms of mastering, if I go to my master channel over here, the last thing I'm going to talk about on this track, I have an EQ that I have here, Fab Filter Pro Q. I love this EQ because of the interface, and it also had mid-side, and I'm gonna make a video on mid-side very soon and why it's so important in mastering. I will show you an in-depth tutorial on that. But I feel like I haven't really spoken enough about the EQ as it is, just the basics, before we get to the mid-side part, because that's a bit more advanced, but we'll get to it soon. Stay subscribed. Anyways, if you look at my EQ over here, I've boosted a bit of the low end and cut out some of the mid-range, and boosted a bit of the highs as well. So you can basically call this kind of a smiley face type of EQ. It kind of helps give the channel life, because when everything is playing right here in the middle, when all your sounds are playing back, they kind of give you a lot of mid-range, and sometimes in the mix it doesn't sound so nice because you're like, why is there so much mid-range in my song? That's because when all those sounds are playing together, they're focused mainly on the mid-range. So it's always good just to lower it, because I don't have so much instruments playing on the low side and the highs, because I don't have so much percussion and I don't have so much bass drums and a lot of bass playing at the same time. So the mid-range is always something you need to just watch, because otherwise it's going to spoil your whole song, because it's too busy in the middle. Because if you put like 4 strings, 5 synths, and a lot of other sounds, it's all sounds that are very mid-rangey. So the more you stack sounds, the more you're stacking mid-range, in the things in the mid-range area, and at the end of the day you're just adding more volume to your mid-range section. So it's always good just to keep it down and then boost everything else that's kind of low. So that's what I did with this EQ here. So let me actually switch the loudness. Okay, I can leave the loudness meter off. Let me switch off the limiter. without the limiter, you can actually hear that my mix is very, very soft. You can see we're speaking like around 6 dB. It's very, very low with just the EQ on. So if I show you my limiter, you can see I've boosted like 12 dB of gain to kind of have it reach 0 dB. With the limiter on, with the limiter off, with it on again. So that's what I did with limiter. So I didn't do so much mastering on this track because I wanted it to be clean. I didn't want to overcook it. I just wanted it to be just a clean, a track, because I love all the sounds. As I said, it's very minimal, and I just used the Ulean loudness meter just to check how loud I'm going, but I didn't really master so much in terms of really crafting the sound and really having the sound change, because I had already enjoyed the mixing that I had done of my sounds already. So in my master, I just wanted to carve the sounds a bit, just make them safe, and then just limit and make sure it's reaching 0. So mastering is not all about adding like stacks and stacks of effects, of EQs and stuff like that. You can do that if you want to, but sometimes, depending on the song, if you want it to be a minimal song and you don't want to change the texture of the mix that you already did to the track, then you don't have to do so much on your master. You can just limit to make everything louder, or maybe do a little bit of compression. But I like to leave some of my tracks dynamic so that they're not hitting you too hard. Everything is not just in your ear, but everything is just nice and soft but punchy at the same time. Because if you look at my limiter here, you can see what's more punchy is my kicks. As you can see, these spikes over here, that's my kicks, and everything else down here is kind of the synths and even the bass. You see, minimal house preset. I actually used a preset that is kind of for more minimal house. So that is another style you can use when mastering. You don't have to master all your songs the same way and make them all thump and really fat and wide. You can also do kind of a minimal sound, and you also try different varieties of mixing setup. So that's it for this track. If you haven't heard this track, you can check it out in link in the description below, and you can play the full track and take a listen to it, and then come back and watch the video again so you can kind of understand what I did to the song. And if you have any other questions that about something maybe I left out in this video, you can just let me know down in the comments what you want to know, and I'll be glad to answer your questions so we can discuss on music production and all that stuff. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, you know what to do. Leave a like down below, support the channel. I appreciate all the support you guys are giving this channel, and I am very grateful. If you're new to the channel, in case you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, join us. We have a lot of great content here, and that's it. I'll check you guys out in another video. I am X, and I'm out. Peace.